Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles, and I welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. It's been a bit difficult this season to really watch late games due to some time zone restrictions, right? Given the fact that we're in a different time zone, it makes it very hard to watch these games. Last season we did a lot of that, and it was very unhealthy and just actually not smart to be staying up so late, waking up early. And it just didn't make any sense. But this season, however, I've had a chance to watch a good amount of some of the Clippers games, a few of their games, and from what I've noticed about this team is that they are definitely an improved defensive team. Last season, for those of you who followed us on the channel, you know just how much I complained about their defense. It was something that really bothered me, right? Because I felt as if in order for them to become a championship team, they needed to play better defense. Yes, last season I think they were giving up somewhere around 108 points per game, which is just way too many points to give up per game. Now, they were scoring more last season, about 114 points per game, but you just needed to play better defense, because on some nights when your shot is not going down, if you're not making your shots and you're not playing great defense, teams would beat you. And that's usually what happened in some cases last season. This season, however, they've really improved on the defensive side of the floor. Last season, they were in the middle of the pack. Now they're a top 5 defensive team in the NBA. To me, that is a very good sign. If you look at some of the best teams out there that are, doing pretty well, for instance, if you look at the Golden State Warriors, they're the number 1 rated defensive team in the NBA. The only difference between the Warriors and the Clippers is that the Warriors have figured out a way to generate enough offense. Now, as I said, defense was one of their weak areas. And to be honest with you, if I'm talking about my favorite player, Kawhi Leonard, he didn't really help that team much defensively, at least for the first half of the season last year. Kawhi only really started playing defense in March and April, right? I watched a lot of Clippers content or games last season, and Kawhi Leonard would just cheat on a lot of those picks. He would go under those screens. He wasn't given the type of effort you would expect for him, expect from a 2-time defensive player of the year. And maybe that's one of the reasons that maybe they've improved this year. Maybe, hopefully if Kawhi Leonard comes back, hopefully he takes defense much more seriously, and he doesn't wait for the team to get into the playoffs where he usually tries to ramp things up. Last season, you saw him picking up Luka Doncic and other players. He's a great defensive player, but I just wish he played defense more consistently, especially throughout the regular season. Now, with that being said, in the absence of Kawhi Leonard, Paul George has really stepped up, right? Paul George is having his best individual year as a Clipper this season. If I look at some of his stats here, for example, this season, Paul George is averaging, for the Clippers, he's averaging 25.9 points per game. He's getting you 7.3 rebounds per game and 5.1 assists, right? So Paul George, he's doing his thing this year. He's not as efficient as he was last season, because I believe last season he was playing with a little bit more spacing on the floor, so he was able to shoot a much higher percentage from the 3-point line, above 40%. But nevertheless, he's leading his team, right? And he's had some pretty big games. Even the last game that they lost against the Golden State Warriors, he did put up, 30 plus points. But the issue with the Clippers is this: they are having difficulties generating points with their offense. Their offense is struggling, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, yes, Kawhi Leonard is not playing, right? And he's a person that would probably give them an additional 25 points per game. But it's also due to the fact that the Clippers have not addressed their point guard issue, and this is a problem that's dating back probably 3 years now. First, they had Lou Williams, right? And Lou Williams was a player that really used to drive me crazy, because I really started following this team the year Kawhi Leonard joined them. Kind of similarly to the way Shannon Sharpe has become supports the Lakers the moment LeBron James joined them. So I really started following this team then. And yes, they had Lou Williams. He was a scoring point guard, right? He was known for that. He won the 6th Man of the Year, I believe, multiple times. The problem with Lou Williams was that he played virtually no defense, and he was turnover prone, especially in fourth quarters. He had this tendency where he would telegraph a lot of his plays, and it was just something that used to drive me nuts. And I used to wonder why Doc Rivers had him out there as their quote-unquote closer when you have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the court at the same time. What is the purpose of having Lou Williams on the floor? That was my first issue with him. So they got rid of him because I just didn't think he was a good fit. Then you had Patrick Beverley, who I really liked a lot, who was an all-NBA defensive type of player. But the issue with Patrick Beverley were two. The issues with Patrick Beverley were two. Number one, he was always injured. Last season, I think he missed over 40 to 50 or probably 60%, I think about 50% of the season last year. That wasn't good, right? You have this guy, he's a great defensive player, but he's not if he's not available, then what use is he to your team? That's number one. And number two, he was a bit undersized at the point guard spot. If you looked at the Clippers last year in the playoffs, at certain points they couldn't play him, especially in that first round series against Luka Doncic, because Luka was just too big. He would back him down and just put him in his back pocket and throw away the keys. So that was the issue with Patrick Beverley. He played with a lot of intensity, a lot of emotion. I really liked him, but he was undersized, right? And he wasn't really an offensive threat, and he wasn't really a magician as far as facilitating an offense. And then what did they do? They went out there and they replaced him with Eric Bledsoe. Right? Now you have Eric Bledsoe, who is running their offense, and I don't think he's the right guy for the job. I watched some of the game the other day. I don't think he's the right guy for the job, and it made me think about Lonzo Ball, because the Clippers had an opportunity to go after Lonzo Ball, and I think they made a huge mistake. Lonzo Ball, right, is a 6'6" point guard. A 6'6" point guard that can play defense and facilitate an offense. This season, he's averaging 12.5 points per game, shooting 42% from the field, which is an improvement from last year. He's shooting 44% from the three-point line. 44%. That would have been a perfect marriage between him and the Clippers, because the Clippers were the number one three-point shooting team last year in the NBA as far as percentage-wise. You airdrop a player that's shooting 44%, they would have been lethal. He's shooting 75% from the free throw line, getting you 5.2 rebounds, which is very good, 4.8 assists, only getting you 2.3 turnovers, but he's getting you 1.8 steals and 0.7 blocks per game. I think the Clippers really messed up not going after this guy. This is the person that they should have gone after. And he's very young. If I check his age, how old is he? He's only 24 years old. So you get a guy like that on the cheap, and he's going to be with your organization for the next few years, right? This is the type of player that they needed, especially somebody that can push the tempo. It was something that Tyronn Lue complained about a lot last season. We need to push the tempo. We need to get easier shots in transition. This would have been the perfect person to help you with a lot of those outlet passes and all of these different things. And I think they made a major mistake. And now that we're talking about Lonzo Ball, it just reminded me of another player quickly, Ben Simmons. Lonzo Ball had a broken shot when he came into the NBA. A broken shot. Look at the guy now. He has improved his offense. He's improved his shooting. This guy is now a 44% three-point shooter. When he came into the NBA, he was a 30% three-point shooter. 30%. When he came into the NBA, he was shooting 36% from the field. Now he's shooting 43% from the field. This is somebody that has really improved their game. The first season in the NBA, the first 2 seasons in the NBA, he shot around 40% from the free throw line. This season he's shooting 75%. The season before that, he shot 78%. This is an example of a player that actually wants to get better. I don't want to hear nothing about no damn Ben Simmons. Please spare me with your nonsense. Spare me with your nonsense about the people. Oh, this is an example of somebody that is getting better. Lonzo Ball is an example of somebody we need to pay attention to, a player that's worth talking about instead of wasting our time here sitting there talking about Ben Simmons. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. But for me, listen, I think he would have been a perfect fit for them. I think given the fact that the Clippers are in LA, he would have been playing at home, which is something that I know his father is big on, and I'm sure that's something he would have definitely enjoyed. And to me, I think it's an opportunity that they missed, and I think now they're going to need to make another move, because I don't think they can stand pat with the roster that they have, especially at the point guard spot. So what I want to know from you guys is this. Do you think the Clippers made a mistake? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.